The government of Ghana in 2012 initiated the Ghana Commercial Agriculture Project Gcap to, among others, address the critical binding constraints within the smallholder agriculture value chain. Such constraints included lack of efficient irrigation systems to ensure all year-round cultivation, lack of agronomic and management skills, lack of hygienic processing and storage systems, lack of technical support in land preparation, and a deficient land tenure system limiting access to land for farming.
The Ghana Commercial Agriculture Project was designed as a very innovative project that is supposed to showcase how the Ghana government is using the PPP, private-public partnership approach, to ensure that agriculture is developed commercially. And for that reason, all the approaches that it was designed to use to achieve results centered on having a public and then the private sector partnering.
The project assesses the requests from agribusinesses and stakeholders in the agri sector that fall within the remit of the project, and then decides on how best to support the agribusinesses to achieve whatever objectives they have, which is in line with our project development objective. Increase access to land, access to private sector finance, input and output markets by smallholder farmers through the linkages of private-public partnerships in the commercial agri sector.
Under the auspices of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Gcap is funded with $45 million grant from the USAID and a World Bank credit facility of $100,000, all totaling $145 million.
Ensuring self-sufficiency in food production is a key objective of the government of Ghana. This is impossible without stimulating local production in staples like rice, maize, vegetables, etc. Stimulating local production requires removing binding constraints to increased yield. These include land tenure challenges, inefficient water management for irrigation, agronomic skills, high cost of land preparation and farm infrastructure, etc. This is why the government of Ghana conceived Gcap by assisting local smallholder farmers to surmount these challenges and increase yield and incomes.
Gcap is now restructured to focus on how we could increase access to reliable water for farmers, access to finance, and then using the agricultural input-output markets. Gcap had to be restructured. One, because of an over-ambitious design of the project. Two, because of the approach of using PPP as the main vehicle for project implementation. That made it impossible for us to use project funds within the stipulated time. So by restructuring, then we could then be able to do some supply-led interventions that can enable us to use the funds within the stipulated time. Even that one, we had to extend the project for another 2 years to make sure that we could be able to use the resources allocated to us.
Over the years, Gcap has made giant strides in providing financial grants to 36 agri-sector businesses and outgrower farmers through its matching grants facility.
P-Farms has got some outgrowers whom he's working with, but not until the outcome of Gcap we had about 8 groups. And now, because of Gcap, comes help in land development to expand. So we have been able to increase the groups to about 15. Not until first, P-Farms used to have only about 180 acre land. But because Gcap has come with the support to help do something, we have 300 extra acres.
Gcap developed 100 acres of land for the outgrowers. The first year, the women and the men were doing it together. But we realized that the men were not very active like the women. So the following year, we had to give 60 acres for the women to do soybean, and then 40 acres for the men to do the maize. So they are now independent of themselves. With Gcap intervention, the road is fine. We move tractors to the farm, lorries to the farm freely and back home without any problem. Now Gcap has given us money. We have developed a 500 metric ton capacity warehousing, which is ongoing. We haven't completed. Farmers didn't know how to mix chemicals. They now know which chemical to use and what time to use it. And then bookkeeping too, farmers didn't know. They were just farming, no record keeping. But now, whatever they put on the farm, they try to record it, and at the end, they total and know whether they have made profit or not. But formerly, they were just doing it anyhow. Formerly, they were doing individual farming. Nobody knew what the other was doing. But now, as they are together, they learn from one another, and then they advise each other when they are on the farm.
Sugarland started in the year of our Lord 2008 as an open field vegetable company. We're basically doing fresh peppers during the raining season, some maize and other vegetables. Before we met Gcap, we were doing these things, processing the fresh pepper into dry powdered pepper because of the season. Then we discovered the Envirodome greenhouse systems by SVL, and we ordered a couple of them, about 6 of them. Gcap came in the newspapers about the first call, so Sugarland applied, and by the grace of God, we were given an allocation to buy some additional domes to impact on the citizenry in the area, especially the women, and to help them with their livelihood. So with the help of Gcap, we got the domes in addition to ours, and we constructed. This is just phase 1, because the construction takes time and a lot of resources. So we've done phase 1, and we've started producing in the domes, as you can see around.
Gcap picked up the land development, and I got the land, and they assisted me to develop 400 acres of land. Gcap also saw that I didn't have a warehouse, and so they asked whether I had land to put a warehouse. Majority of the farmers stay within the nuclear farm area, and they need potable water to drink. And so we drilled a borehole, did the water quality test, passed the water quality test, and it's high yielding. We are connecting an electricity through Gcap funding into the warehouse. Gcap intervention has been enormous. It facilitates the difficulties that we would have been facing.
At the moment, Gcap is able to assist Kukublanashire Farm acquire 100-acre land, which has now been developed. And 50 acres of that 100 acres have been allocated to ag growers to plant maize, rice, and soya beans to keep them or to help enhance their livelihood. Kukublanashire farms had a small pump that we use to irrigate the 17-acre of land. And now Gcap is able to provide Kukublanashire farms with 2 powerful pumps and then 2 center pivots to help irrigate the 100-acre farm. So at the moment, it's in progress. You can see the center pivots in action. It waters 50-acre of land at a time. And that is when you start, say, 6 o'clock in the morning until you close 6 o'clock in the evening, you take 12 hours to irrigate 50 acres of land.
When Gcap support came, it was basically for land development, warehouse, and training. The warehouse also, I have worked frantically on it. And I'm now at the beam level. Additional way of utilizing the Gcap funds is to undertake some training for the farmers. And we have done some training in farm management, that is use of pesticides, of chemicals and fertilizers. We have also done something in bookkeeping, that is record keeping. We have also gone further to do group formation, and from this emanated the formation of a cooperative group.
A huge amount of money has been invested in enhancing outgrower and nucleus farmers' capacity in agronomic practices and farm infrastructure, including roads, electricity connectivity, and irrigation systems for commercial farms. This has so far impacted positively on productivity and income.
The matching grant, actually, we have 9.57 million US dollar budget. And out of that, so far we've disbursed about almost 7.5 million. And in terms of implementation, they've done so well.
However, in its bid to increase its relevance to the agric sector, Gcap has undergone a successful restructuring with a new project objective of improving agricultural productivity and production of both smallholder and nucleus farms in selected project intervention areas with increased access to reliable water, land, finance, and agricultural input and output markets. This it seeks to achieve through the following project components. Component 1 has an objective of strengthening investment promotion infrastructure and facilitating secure access to land. Under this component, Gcap is working with the Ghana Investment Promotion Center and the Lands Commission to readily avail arable land to prospective investors and promote engagement between local and foreign investors in the sector through a portal.
For us at Gcap, when we talk about commercial farming, it's not just about large-size farms. It's the focus of the farmer. So if you farm and your focus is market-oriented, that is commercial agriculture. So we have been able to reorient the GIPC to put in place incentives and then also have structures that enable them to engage agribusinesses, investors who want to invest in agriculture in Ghana. And one of the things we've done is to help them to have what we call an investor tracking system, which is an online-based facility that can let them register for investors and track them along the whole processing of their becoming investors in Ghana.
One important component of our collaboration has been investment in our investor tracking system, where the investor sits in the Nasia Nabugo village there, but we have data on him with geopositioning. Any information that will require of that person is gathered and lodged onto that platform that will be created here for them. Our concentration is on local investors as well as foreign investors. So if a company existing now who is benefiting thinks he can expand in the next 2 years, he makes a projection, develops a proposal. We'll collect that proposal and then do the marketing of that proposal. We search worldwide for anybody who may be interested to partner with such a Ghanaian company. That's part of the work that we do here.
Well, agriculture involves the use of land and other resources. And so how can we facilitate and help farmers, particularly those local and foreign investors, to negotiate the acquisition of land in a way that benefits both parties? So we come with 3 documents which we call the Model Lease Agreement, and then also guidelines for large-scale land transactions. And these are in place and we've distributed them widely to inform people and guide them in their process at the acquisition of land to do commercial farming in Ghana.
Gcap project is a project that is taking place in the country with all the activities land-based. Of course, any activity is land-based, and Lands Commission role cannot be ruled out. Our role initially was under Component 1, which looks at investment promotion, and then secure access to land. And under that, Lands Commissioner is under subcomponent 1.2, and that is improve land governance and access to land. That is where we have our role as a subcomponent. But you realize that our role cuts across all the components because the project, the agriculture investment and other activities are all land-based. And our advice and guidance on land issues is very vital in all the other components. But we have our specific sub-component, but we also cut across all the components.
The collaborative performance has been very good in the sense that Gcap, once you have your budget rolled out against your activity plans, they give timely release of monies for us to execute the business that we have to execute.
If the Commission is collaborating with Gcap and other projects in the future or still in the system will collaborate with the Commission, it means we'll be guiding the process, we'll be facilitating the process to ensure that there's a judicious use of land and also land use is in line with the nation's development goal.
Whereas Component 2 focuses on securing public-private partnerships and smallholder linkages in the Accra Plains, Component 3 similarly is dedicated towards securing public-private partnerships and smallholder linkages in the SADA zone, which comprises the three northern regions, Brong-Ahafo and Northern Volta. Component 4 is concerned with ensuring efficient and prudent management of the huge financial investments government is making in the agric sector through Gcap. This includes project management, environmental safeguards, and monitoring and evaluation.
We are working with the government to regularize the land acquisition so that we don't have complaints from the communities about their lands being acquired by the state and not being compensated for. Now, in terms of resettlement, we are working we have developed a terms of reference to do an assessment of the environmental and social impact, and where we realize that people's lands will be taken over by the new rehabilitated schemes, we will ensure that we develop a resettlement action plan so that people who have to leave their land or lose their land will be properly resettled and compensated for government, the state acquiring their land.
As part of this, we are going to conduct environmental and social impact assessment, and the study will generate the need for resettlement action plan, which will also be conducted. Then the essence is to identify all possible or potential adverse environmental effects associated with this rehabilitation and modernization. And then environmental and social management plan will be developed to kind of at least avoid or reduce or what we call mitigate the impacts, so that the rehabilitation and modernization will be done in a very